Subscribe or you'll be visited by the toll troll. Where's the objectively best place in the USA to buy a house right now, and why? There is no objective. Everyone has different priorities. Got any criteria? What does this graph represent? Total home sales? Population growth/decline? Frig off. We're full. People flocking to states at risk of extreme weather catastrophe. Nice. Frig off. As a white person? St. George, Utah or that area. Midwest? Tennessee or West Virginia. Beautiful nature. Affordable housing? A great balance between natural conservatism and celebrating the golden age of science. Far away from woke York. Far away from Trump country down south. Great gun laws. Will not be affected by the water wars. Will not be affected by tech. Great shortage of immigration. Has Dollywood, which is the better Disneyland? Go here if you value freedom, faith, science, and humanism. Except if you're a transsexual, in which case you need to go to San Fran and pay federal tax. South Dakota, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, or Kentucky. Everywhere else is either full of poopskins, tiny hats, Shabbos Goyim, or is some desert/swamp BS. Texas and Florida. Why? Projected future economic and population growth. Most of the East Coast isn't growing. Most of the West Coast is actively declining. Buying a house in either is a bad investment by definition and an expensive, dangerous place to live. Florida and Texas aren't heaven, but they still have a likely boom ahead of them. A house is a good investment in those two. It's as safe and prosperous as the US gets. The Midwest and other in the middle of nowhere areas are in the middle of nowhere. If that's what you're looking for, they're good options too. But it comes at a substantial cost to growth potential and living standards. Northwest Arkansas? Wrong. This place is a crap hole full of jeets, traffic and overpriced housing. Philadelphia Center City if we're talking ROI. The place with the least amount of tiny hats and joggers. Long-term good investment or short-term Austin-level gains? For the latter, southern cities that haven't quite blown up during the pandemic. For the former, the Rust Belt, especially around the Great Lakes. In a decade or so, the migration you've seen to the Sun Belt will reverse course as Americans flee climate change and seek affordability. Specifically, you'll want to buy in places where urban infill and gentrification are possible. And when I mention some of the places you're going to think I'm insane, I promise, you'll thank me in a few decades. Great Lakes adjacent Rust Belt cities are the prime Tiragos, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Chicago, Detroit, seriously, Kansas City, St. Louis, questionable on this one, Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Cleveland, also questionable, Minneapolis/St. Paul. You'll want to look for dense, walkable, majority white or Hispanic neighborhoods to get the best bang for your buck. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in a spiral of crime and the neighborhood will never improve. But the idea is simple. Buy in a relatively rundown neighborhood on the edge of gentrification. White hipsters will move in. Hipsters set up Baba tea shops and artisan coffee joints. Neighborhood improves. More wealthy urbanites move in. Wealthier urbanites demand better city services. City gives it to them. Neighborhood gets nicer. Now a livable area. Exit to a Californian at a 700% markup. Too easy. God damn, I need to get out of Georgia. Heckin' sick. Would you accept an Asian person moving to your state? Asking for me? California because you belong there. Living in a state without a coast? We all know. Texas or Florida. Best states with no income taxes. Unless you're a broke jogger or Mexican. Then California for handouts. Bull trap states. Texas, Florida, Alaska, Colorado. Crap hole states. Illinois, California, New York, New Jersey. Actually bullish. Frig off. We're full. States, Idaho, Tennessee, Kentucky, Utah, Maine, Florida, to have a free lizard zoo. Plus the last time I went through there things weren't that expensive. If I keep holding plebe for a few years, maybe I'll get one over there. Wyoming? Why? Nice and quiet. Your best chance is to leave the country keck. Go to a place like Malaysia, get land cheaply, then apply for a loan from M&A Corp for your business. When you have made your money, you can buy land from anywhere in the US. Us Virgin Islands if you're not a sissy. The Bible Belt is full. Don't come here. Confederates everywhere still and lynching is a thing. Do not come here. Frig off. Why would you buy a room on a sinking ship? I'm trying to decide between New Hampshire and Maine. I like that there's no income tax or sales tax in New Hampshire, but those property taxes worry me. Maine has income and sales tax but seems like lower property taxes and cheaper housing prices. California, specifically LA County or San Francisco. It's great for OP, because, you know, justicemap.org. Here you go. I've been saying this for years and people brush me off as crazy, but hear me out. The politicians/elite overlords in Illinois have purposely let crime and taxation run rampant in Chicago, for the sole purpose of suppressing housing prices so they can consolidate as much real estate for themselves as possible. When the freshwater crisis truly starts to devastate the western United States, all those regards living in the desert are going to move to Chicago, which happens to sit on mighty Lake Michigan. Chicago is going to become the Saudi Arabia of fresh water over the next few decades, so from a financial perspective makes sense. Buying up homes in and around Chicago, but also can't go wrong getting a house anywhere in Great Lakes region. Our time is coming very soon. Ban foreigners from owning land. Limit number of properties individuals can own. Implement law immediately and require immediate selling of current properties if someone owns more than 2 or 3, etc. Brainlet here? Why doesn't the government just do this? Prices would fall, and people would actually be able to afford a heckin' house then. Why are people spending hundreds of thousands of USD for crappy wood composite houses? I don't get it. Was it just because money was literally free? If that's over, aren't prices gonna drop eventually? And drop by a lot? A wood composite house is not even worth 100K in my opinion. It degrades way faster than brick and mortar. Fairly good answer, but eventually we're going to run out of states to do this. Instead, we should be thinking about why we're even living in a legacy country like the US, Canada, Great Britain, or anywhere in Europe. If non-white populations are projected to become a majority, then what's even the point of staying? Zero difference between it and the third world at that point, so why not just leave? At least in the third world you'll get access to better prices. In my honest opinion, the true smart money move is to abandon ship right now. Convert your guns to full automatic, bury them somewhere hidden, in Gary's mod of course, then leave. Go to where the non-whites already are, non-white countries. Rule over the non-whites while hoarding your cash from a remote job. Keep your bloodline pure. Do not come inside Asian or African women. Then return to the US to fight if Reconquista ever kicks off. Google the states that are best suited to handle climate change. As much as I like Arizona, it's going to be a hot and dry crap hole soon. I can't buy a house here. Unfortunately, a lot of the states that are good for climate change are also Democrat states. As a former Democrat, I'm fleeing every blue state crap hole, because you'll literally be indicated by AOC for defending yourself against a black person. Puerto Rico, no crypto tax. Technically part of the USA or some crap like that. Georgia sucks butt if anyone cares. Unless you're on the coast then it's mildly okay. Baltimore calls its place where you can most likely build your Monero business. Texas, Florida, New England area in my opinion. Please exit the mitten at once. Chicago and the Chicago suburbs are heckin' disgusting hellholes, and you couldn't pay me to live there. Only a regarded jogger from California could possibly think Illinois is a decent place to live. Heckin' keck. By the way, Columbus, Ohio is 30% black as of 2020. It's worse than I thought. Abandoned ship. Also, fake climate change silly-headedness has stifled the coal industry somewhat. It's literally a temporary restraint on West Virginia. It has a power generation abundance that it supplies a surplus to surrounding states.